Earlier this month, MTN's Mike Dennison examined the lack of access to high-speed internet service in many parts of rural Montana and what it might take to expand that access. Today, he takes a closer look at another player in the market that doesn't get a lot of attention: local wireless internet service providers.
As we reported earlier, the big boys of high-speed internet service, CenturyLink or the cable company's Spectrum, pretty much don't offer broadband once you get several miles outside of Montana's urban centers. That's where smaller wireless internet companies, known by their acronym WISP, have sometimes been stepping in.
We focus on building our facilities out past the 10-mile ring because that's where people are starving for internet. And that's been our mission ever since we started in 2003 doing high-speed broadband, is to get folks the high speed that they need to do business and for kids to do their schoolwork.
That's right. Weber's Montana Sky Networks has been around for more than 15 years, installing fiber optic cable and wireless towers that can beam internet to rural homes in Flathead Lake and Lincoln counties. Robert Bialecki started KDS Networks in Great Falls 12 years ago, after he moved to an area outside the city that didn't have high-speed internet.
So we just figured out how to make it happen. Well, if we can do the same thing from my neighborhood, I can do that for anybody.
KDS has about 1,500 customers, primarily in suburban and rural areas of Cascade County. About a dozen WISPs exist in Montana, in cities big and small. Rather than always running high-speed fiber directly to the home or business, these companies have towers that can shoot a signal to provide that final high-speed link to the internet.
And everybody is talking about fiber because they think, that's the best way. Wireless, on the other side, is that it's a way more efficient way and much more cost-effective way to deliver almost the same thing. If we would have access to public funding, we would accelerate this deployment much faster.
Until last year, wireless providers haven't had access to federal subsidies to expand service to rural areas because they're not a telephone company. One of them, however, has applied for an $11 million low-interest loan from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, proposing to build a fiber and wireless network from Helena to Townsend and Three Forks.
There's almost 40,000 people that you're running into along that way that just would like to have great service. They'd like to have internet that actually works.
Ham says big companies just aren't interested in serving these areas. So why shouldn't the smaller ones do the job? He also says the feds should be identifying the areas that most need service and subsidies, rather than relying on providers to make proposals.
It should be turned around with, hey, we've got $600 million to invest. Where are areas that haven't been touched? Where are areas that people live now where we just know that there's no internet?
Actually, the Federal Communications Commission is preparing to do just that with universal service money and distribute the money through an auction to providers with the best plan to serve these unserved areas. But that process won't be up and running for at least a couple of years. So for now, these small providers are pretty much on their own, filling the gaps in the rural internet landscape. In Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
FCC Universal Service Funds also are continuing to fund the build-out of high-speed internet networks for rural communities served by telephone co-ops in Montana.